Today we're going to talk about the absolutely bizarre missing persons case of Larry Ely Murillo Moncada. Larry, who went by the name Marlon, and we'll refer to him as such throughout the rest of the video, worked at the No Frills supermarket chain in Council Bluffs, Iowa. He was last seen all the way back in 2009. His family said that Marlon, 25 years of age, had worked a shift on Thanksgiving Day and had come home acting disoriented and completely out of it, according to the parents. The next day, his mother, fearing for the health of her son, had taken him to the doctor. At this time, Marlon started complaining of hallucinations. He was hearing voices. The thought had been that it could possibly be a side effect of the antidepressant drugs that Marlon had been taking. And on the 28th of November, Marlon got into an altercation with his family and would leave his home in the middle of the night in a snowstorm with no shoes and no socks. The thought had been that that night, even though Marlon did not have a shift, he had possibly gone back to the No Frills supermarket. But when no one reported seeing him, the family reported him missing to the police. So at this point, leads with the police had went nowhere. There had been no sign of Marlon anywhere. So the family didn't just sit by, they became very active. Marlon actually at one point had been deported back to Honduras, so they looked for Marlon in Honduras. They got in touch with U.S. Customs and Immigration Services and looked for Marlon in U.S. detention camps for those that were about to be deported or had come into the country illegally. All of these searches turned up nothing. As time went on, the case of Marlon Mercado became a cold case in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Although many tips would come in over the years, nothing would come to any fruition. Nothing would provide any tangible evidence that could lead to the discovery of Marlon's whereabouts. Then, all the way, in January of 2019, a break in the case.
Council Bluffs police believe Larry Murillo Moncada climbed a cooler and somehow fell behind it, leaving him trapped. Police say the gap was about 18 inches between the cooler and the wall.
I was informed that employees would randomly go up at different times and be up on the unit, and we believe that he may have accidentally fell behind the unit.
Employees say Larry wasn't scheduled to work that day, so no one knew he was there. Hours before he vanished, his parents told police he was upset and ran out of their home.
The mother, she kind of had an idea that he had never left the No Frills. I don't know how she came up with that idea, but you know, they were pretty upset.
So I'm sure that you have many questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. So we moved from 2009 all the way to January of 2019. The Council Bluffs, Iowa Broadway location of the No Frills supermarket has been closed since 2016, and workers are removing fixtures, they're removing coolers, they're removing everything that actually can be sold at an online auction that is coming up on outbid.com, and they find skeletal remains within the store. So the remains are found between a gap in the store's coolers and the wall. It's about an 18-inch gap. And I know the question you probably have right now, well, is this Larry? And if it is Larry, if the parents did think that he had went back to the No Frills, did they talk with management there? Did they try to see security tapes? Absolutely. All of those things that they did. And there was no conclusive information at the time that that Marlon had been anywhere near the store. No one had seen him, as the police said he did not work a shift that day, and he seemed to have vanished into thin air. Coroners took a DNA sample from the family and then performed an autopsy on the skeletal remains. They compared the DNA sequence between the two, and it came back as a perfect match for Larry Mercado. One of the things that the coroner's report had also showed is that there was no signs of foul play. And so it had been a horrible, tragic accident that had taken the life of this young man. When he fell between the gap, the sounds of the condensers were so loud that his possible cries for help went unheard. And you may be thinking, how did a body stay in a supermarket chain for 7 years and no one complained of, unfortunately, we have to bring it up, the smell? Well, they did. And customers routinely complained of the smell in the store. And as we can look at the ratings for this store, it was consistently seen as a dirty and smelly place to do your grocery shopping. And there we have it, the unfortunate last chapter in a young man's life, 25 years of age, suffering from the effects of antidepressant medication, possibly having a psychotic episode. His body lay in the wall of a supermarket chain for 7 years while people did their grocery shopping. What a bizarre one. Have a good day, everybody.